Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the CCZ Warrior. So CCZ is a company from a little while ago that put out a bunch of sets, some affordable sets, a lot of sets in a short amount of time, and then disappeared for a bit, took a break, probably restructured, thought about what they were doing, and here they are again with Warrior. So Warrior is a 1+3. It's a one dynamic driver, 3 BA set, and as far as styling and shell, actually quite nice. I think the CCZ sets in the past actually were actually quite nice looking as well, and I think the sort of the metal ring around the faceplate with the translucent middle of it, quite nice. The 3 BAs, there's one, I don't know if we could actually see it. There's one kind of right there, and then there's two in the nozzle here. So the other thing that CCZ made a name for himself was this patented comfort tip, ear tip, which sits gently in your ear, and supposedly they have a patent on it. Second thing they have a patent on is this ear tip. So it's sort of a silicone ear tip, and it's got this ring on it. And I think they talk about those two things as patented property. So I will say that I will take their word for it that they have patents on those. So the box is kind of what you would expect at the price. This is about $30, I think, after coupon. So Warrior, 3BA, 1DD, burst out energy, vivid and shining. And I think the marketing guy who put this on there maybe didn't quite listen to it. It's actually quite a relaxed, chill set. I think if they had actually gone with the burst out energy, vivid and shining tuning, that would have actually been an improvement here. So I think that marketing guy should have gotten a bonus, but the guy who tuned it, maybe should have listened to him. So let's look at what they did here. So CCZ Warrior in the blue, Blonde Z200, a recent blonde in the red, and the old BL03 in the green. So Warrior, you can kind of see they rolled off the sub bass quite a bit, but kept the mid bass. So this one does have a really big mid bass bump. This one is kind of thick right there and boomy right in the mid bass. Not all that far from the other two. It's just that those two extend farther into the sub bass. So lots of energy right there, 200 right in your mid bass. That carries straight into your mids. Those of you who are fans of those thicker, heavier mids, that's exactly what you get here. It's what you get on the other two sets as well. And then when we look into the part that should have been shining and vivid, you can kind of see that Warrior took the lower path from the other two. And I think that's, they probably should have listened to this guy, because I think this is just a little bit low, especially for this driver configuration. You've got 3 BAs. I'm not sure that was the best path to take sort of the lowest level on a similar tuning. And all these are sort of the same flavors or different flavors of the same tuning. And Z200 was a little more V-shaped up the top. BL03 was that midline. And then I would call Warrior as the lower line. So it's definitely chill and relaxed. Doesn't exactly show off the 3 BAs, which is kind of an odd thing to do. And I think they did push out this upper treble, like that high treble. I think they did push that out a little too far, and I think that's accurate. I think they maybe do have a bump out there where you can't hear it. That's sort of what it sounds like. They should have pulled this in a little bit, and I think that would have actually helped as well with some of the air. I think they probably did something, but one of those BAs maybe hitting a little too far out there, whereas the other two do hit a little closer in. So relaxed, chill, bassy, thick, warm. All these are words associated with Blonde, CCZ, KB ear. It's that tuning that you've heard over and over again from these guys. They've done it quite a few times. So we're going to go through this quickly, because this tuning, like I said, is basically another flavor of what they've been doing. And there's only so many unique ways to talk about this same kind of tuning over and over again. So the good on Warrior, like I said, it's a 1.3, 1+3. The good on it, if you followed KB Ear recently, and KB Ear and CCZ are related companies, that warm, bass heavy signature will not be a surprise. This one is pretty much in line with some recent releases from KB Ear and even Blonde, like I said. Very likable, very popular sound. So the converse of that is, and the not as good, is the tuning makes it really hard to justify the price and doesn't stand out from other sets in that same price range. So nice shell design, some patented pieces on it, but it doesn't quite stand apart from the other two or the other sets that are in that same price range. I think KB Ear and Blonde just fit better with the lower price range right now with that tuning that they're doing and some of the performance that they're giving. I think it actually does fit in well with lower price sets, and I think both of those companies have actually put out some very nice sets in a lower price range that have actually done pretty well. This one hitting at about $30 is kind of pushing it. So the sound, V-shaped, warm, bassy, chill, relaxed. So not quite the energy, vivid, and shining. It's more of a warm, bassy, chill, relaxed, like you saw on the graph. So the bass, it's got that warm, thick, boomy sound, mid bass heavy right into your mids. That's not a surprise. That's what they've been using, the same style bass over and over again. Together with the upper mids gives you that traditional V-shaped sound. So they really put in lots of mid bass here and really just enough to make the sound a little V-shaped and just to give you enough clarity and detail in the mids, carried through from right there. It's like just enough. So the mids, it's V-shaped, recessed mids under the bass, just enough mids, like I said, to keep it reasonable, but really missing that BA crisp edge sometimes. And like I said, I think the tuning wise is probably a little lower than maybe what I would have picked, and I think a lot of it is just missing that BA sound to it, that hybrid sound to it. And then other times you'll hear this female vocal that lands right on the two BAs in the nozzle, and it sounds more BA-like, but it's a bit inconsistent depending on where your instruments and your vocals or whatever lands, whether you hear more of a BA or more of a, this relaxed, chill, mid-bass heavy sound. You get sort of energy right here, then the rest of it definitely kind of falls off pretty quickly. So, but I would call this one, certainly a fun, likable set, and the mids are actually a little better, sound better over less bass, but definitely a set. Like all the other sets are more of a bass fan set. That treble, like I said, the lower treble has that V-shaped energy, and it doesn't carry through to the upper treble. It sort of rolls off a little quick, and that's at a lower level. So you get this relaxed hybrid sound. Depending on the instrument, like I said, it sounds energetic. It can sound energetic, but not as bright or natural. So yeah, it's a kind of an odd sound. I would say it sounds like they tuned the bass first and the treble to match, and it wasn't exactly the most coherent way to match these three BAs with the dynamic driver. It just doesn't quite match. Sometimes I just said it was inconsistent. Sometimes it sounds right. Sometimes it kind of pops out of place. But the overall sound from bass all the way through isn't the most coherent hybrid I've heard before. Yeah, so won't spend too hard on that again. So the stage, it's got really okay width, and that's really about it. Again, this inconsistent tuning in that high upper treble, there's something that's just out of balance with this one. The stage comes off as just kind of wide enough. There's really no height to it, no real depth to it, and I think a lot of it was because the B is in the nozzle. I think that affects the stage depth quite a bit, but that bass heavy sound affects the clarity, and that smaller stage sounds a little cramped, and both of those things kind of work against the mids. So the mids sound a little more recessed, a little more cramped, not as much clarity. So all these things in a V-shaped set, especially one that's in mid bass heavy set, all kind of work against your mid. So definitely a bass fan set, very much like other sets they've released recently, so not a surprise there. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.